In 2011, Mark Lanigan invented time and space. He was jamming it out in a floating portable toilet cubicle, drifting through the void, and he realised what Queens of the Stone Age really needed was a universe to play their music in. Mark flung himself at 500 miles per hour across the cosmos to the floating kitchen and whipped up himself some fresh universe. He grabbed a bowl, a whisk, flour, eggs, and the warm, salty tears of Abraham Lincoln and stirred time and space into creation. However, there were problems with this universe. Time and space were disorganised, chaotic, jumping around like a wild hare on methadone. Sometimes everything that had happened, was happening and would happen was occurring at the same moment. Sometimes you just had a few stray anachronisms floating in your serial PTA meeting. It was grisly. Years had no meaning and everything was always happening so much. Luckily, John Paul Jones had a solution. In 1979, which of course didn't mean exactly too much back then, due to time being all wonky like, he had decided that enough was enough. John Paul Jones went up to the mountains, meditated for over 10 minutes, and set about inventing history. History had never been heard of back then, and Plato, who he sometimes sat down and shared a joint with, thought it was some real revolutionary stuff. The idea was to invent history as a way of ordering time. If it could be successfully invented, time and space would be put into a long queue of causes and effects, where everyone would have to take turns instead of just running straight to the counter and taking a shit on it. It meant that Jesus would only have to be crucified once, instead of always sort of moaning and crying a little bit while sporadically shouting at his past self to turn back as he walked past. And Genghis Khan wouldn't keep on bumping into Elvis when he went out to Boots to buy more facial cleanser. John Paul Jones had high hopes for the idea. After a few hours in his shed, 12 which was spent chewing the velociraptor that got caught under the lawnmower, John Paul Jones succeeded in creating history. Things stopped happening all at once, and things were finally ordered into years, months and days and all that. John Paul Jones was pretty happy with that, and thinks everyone else would too if they were aware of things that were having happened all at once. However, he had to keep a close eye on history, put a real strain on his career. A year later, his band, Led Zeppelin, broke up. However, things were not all lost for John Paul Jones's career. He stayed good buddies with Mark Lanigan, creator of Time and Space, famous musician, barbecue chef, and met up with Dave Grohl for some mean jam sessions. At Dave Grohl's birthday party at medieval times, Josh Homme vomited on John Paul Jones. They instantly became friends and decided that with Dave Grohl they would form a new band. That band is Dumb Crooked Vultures. Pretty intense. Plato continued to miss John Paul Jones for the rest of his life, would sometimes hum Black Dog with a tear in his eye as he stared into the stars and wondered about the universe and stuff. John Paul Jones heavily inspired his work, as shown by the famous quote, "Be kind, for John Paul Jones is fighting a harder battle." Trent Reznor was pretty impressed with a lot of these things. Trent Reznor was pretty impressed with a lot of these things.